A student at the University of North Carolina handed in a paper. We're going to read it to you because that's how short it is, and got an A- on this. Let's look at it. On the evening of December, Rosa Parks decided that she was going to sit in the white people section on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama. During this time, blacks had to give up their seats to whites when more whites got on the bus. Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. Her and the bus driver began to talk, and the conversation went like this. "Let me have those front seats," said the driver. She didn't get up and told the driver that she was tired of giving her seat to white people. "I'm going to have you arrested," said the driver. "You may do that," Rosa Parks responded. Two white policemen came in, and Rosa Parks asked them, "Why do you all push us around?" The police officer replied and said, "I don't know, but the law is the law, and you're under arrest." Okay, so brilliant paper. I have a feeling, Ben, you're going to handle some of the grammatical stuff.
Final paper.
Yeah.
The final exam. Yeah.
Now, very quickly, we should tell you that this was from a student athlete. They haven't revealed what athletic team he is a part of. We don't know what sport, but that might play into why he got an A- on this thing. So do you think this is more about the state of college or the state of athletics?
No. University of North Carolina is actually a very reputable school, really good school.
Great public university.
Yeah, and one of the better state schools in the country, and that's why this actually stands out even more, right? I mean, first of all, this is a joke in any college. I mean, this is nothing but an F- at any college for any paper, let alone the final paper, let alone North Carolina, right? But that's why it exposes that if you're a college athlete, they're like, dude, just hand something in, anything in, right? Tell them why, you know. But when I got to like near the end, like, "I'm gonna have you arrested," I was like, how is this going to wrap up in 2 sentences?
On the evening of December.
On the evening
so it begins right off the bat. We know what we're getting here,
we got
right?
a problem, yeah. Decided that she was going to sit in the white people section on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama. There was only one. During this time, blacks had to give up their seats.
I can't really make fun of that one because I do that twice a week on Twitter. The there and there. Steve-O gives me a lot of shit.
You're not on Twitter. You're writing a paper in college.
True.
Her and the bus driver began to talk, and the conversation went like this.
Actually, there should be a comma after the this.
This or,
you don't need a period.
You could go colon.
You could.
You could. There are a couple options there. Period is not one of the options.
There's some chance that this gentleman has never used a colon in his life.
Let me have those front seats.
I cannot do that. Okay, then you will be arrested.
There's that little hanging quote at the end after driver out of nowhere. As if he's telling you what the driver said, quoting somebody else quoting the driver.
Wait, where's that?
That's definitely out of 4.
Said the driver. Well, I was an English teacher.
Oh, well, there you go.
In Czechoslovakia, back when that used to be a country.
Oh, is that right?
Wow.
Yeah.
The police driver replied and said, to conclude.
Okay.
So what do we make of this? This is purely the athletics thing. Like this, if a regular kid handed this in, F-, right?
Yeah. So now look, we've had discussed this on the Young Turks before. I had a girlfriend that was at USC. Was a tutor for the athletes. Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, we all have a USC athlete in the studio. Okay, and so
He ran track.
Okay, I know. So if you ran track, you can get away with this. Okay, this has got to be football, basketball, or baseball.
Yeah.
No. By the way, baseball. There's barely anybody on scholarship.
No. But my girlfriend said actually the baseball players were significantly dumber than the others.
Well, maybe
athletes.
at SC, maybe they were making an effort. Maybe they were somebody. I mean, baseball doesn't have like a lot of kids. Most of the kids are on like partial scholarships there. You know, the baseball doesn't generate revenue, so they don't have a lot of. They don't put a lot into it.
Wait, we're talking about USC baseball here.
Yeah, well, you guys
it generates
blow now.
revenue, and we're fucking good.
Not anymore.
Okay, well.
I'm sorry. Who won the College World Series last year?
Yeah.
I can't recall.
I think it was.
I can't recall.
UCLA
Might have been
won
UCLA.
softball, I think.
All right, okay, no one gets. All right.
By the way, that's totally true.
So, and the better the athlete, the higher the scholarship, et cetera, the notoriety, the worse they were. And the reason is because they've been pampered their whole lives. This has been happening since second grade. Well, one of the star athletes who went on to go into the NFL wrote a paper that was very similar to this, except it was also racist, okay, against Latinos, okay? And she's like, no, don't hand that in. Like, you might accidentally ruin your life if you hand that in, okay? So this happens all across the country, even in the best schools like UNC. Well, USC.
But also but keep in mind, UNC has you going back to when Julius Peppers played there. The story broke after he started playing in the NFL, but the academic scandal there went back to his day. So North Carolina, which has been on suspension, which lost a football coach involved in all this, a good football coach, Butch Davis, who's coached in the NFL. This is a long-standing issue at North Carolina. So could I get into the problems with the story now?
Sure.
So here are the problems with the story. We don't know when this was. It could have been from that era, and maybe they fixed it. This is from a whistleblower revealed this, but we don't see it. It's his version of it. It's on a typed piece of paper. We don't know the grade that went with this. He says it got an A-. He says it was a final paper. There's really, I love this story, but there's a lot of reason to think.
Do we know what the course was?
What the course was? I mean, I find it very hard to believe that this was handed in by a moderate grown-up as a final exam and got an A-. If it is,
really?
I do. Then their academic fraud problem is because why not just have someone slightly competent write 2 pages on it?
That's a little more complicated. It takes one extra step.
It does take one extra step, but this is much.
Maybe he had to do this under supervision. Maybe it was listen, go in there, show him you know this stuff, and he goes, yeah, I'll show him I know this stuff.
Well, that suggests to me that maybe this was back. I don't know all the details. Maybe this was back in the day. That was going back in the day.
I'd be really surprised by that.
Well, it's not that long ago. First of all, back in the day, Julius
Peppers has been in the NFL for a million years.
So I'm again, like I said, I'm a little dubious I want more information. This strikes me as something
really
that might not be true.
You're absolutely right about pointing out the credibility of the whistleblower. We don't know him, right? But I'm not at all surprised by this story, and I find it perfectly credible.
I'm a little surprised. This is pretty. I mean, it's
too
my
good.
fourth grade son could write a better essay.
It's as the person said.
You so expect things to be corrupt, basically, right? I mean,
it's not even that. It's not even that. I think it's I'm informed by the experience I had with my girlfriend who was a tutor, right? That some of those essays were so horrific that I'm not surprised by this. And so once you've gotten corrupt, what's the point of half measures? Does he have to write a halfway good essay? You're going to give him the A- anyway, right? So then what's going to happen? Right. They're going to get lazy, right? They're going to be like, well, I get the A- no matter what I write, so fuck it, I'll write this.
Right, why pay the kid that your dorm roommate or whatever, because they're going to give you the A either way. Wait, one other thing on this though. Do you think this is more about the university itself and just the institutionalized craziness, or the coach? Because there are college coaches, whatever sport this is, that really emphasize grades, and clearly whatever sport this is, that's not the coach.
It's got to be university-wide, because how much power does a coach have? Sometimes a ton, right? But he's got to go to those professors. Somebody's got to go to those professors and be like, give them the A- and let's move along. That's usually an administrator, I would imagine. I've never been involved in sports corruption before.
We always presumed, and I know it to be true at UCLA, sometimes there have been athletes they can't get in. So you figure if there's a school they recruit them, they want to get in, and the admissions is like, hey, we have some standards and we can't have this. So I was surprised to hear that about UCLA.
Finally, the good news is the whistleblower has been given sanctuary in South Carolina, so that's going to be okay.